Welcome back to Rumi Gold, where quiet mastery begins. What if clarity was louder than strategy? What if you never needed more to feel full? What if wealth was already yours, but you forgot how to hold it? What if every silent moment was teaching you about abundance? What if wealth, at its core, is about the way you sit with life, not about what you get from it? Today we explore how to manifest wealth, not as a tactic, but as a truth, not as a hustle, but as a way of being. I want to bring you into a memory. Some years back, I sat for 10 days of silence. No talking, no writing, no digital escape. Just the sound of my own breath, the cold floor at sunrise, the way the air changed from dark to pale blue. The mornings carried a kind of weight, quiet but alive, like the world was waiting for you to notice it. Breakfast, a simple tray, oatmeal, steam rising. You could feel your hunger, but you could feel everything else too. It's strange how loud your own mind gets when everything else is still. The mind's a calculator, running numbers you never asked it to run. Will there be enough food? Will my body last? Will life show up for me? Or will I have to fight for every little thing? That's what echoed through my nerves. Not just hunger, but questions about trust, about support, about the invisible current holding me up. Money, for me, sitting there, was always a proxy. It was never just about covering bills or stacking another win. It was a micro-test. Am I safe? Am I provided for? Can I really lean back and let some things come to me? For years, I thought being a man meant always having a plan, always being able to provide, even if it meant burning out, hustling for certainty, instead of opening to support. But there, in silence, layers started to fall away. You see what you chase. You see the cost of running your life like a constant calculation. The nervous system gets tired. Your system starts to believe that safety is only real if it's forced, not received. How often do you move through your day measuring your enoughness by numbers, by notifications, by what's missing? Where does your mind rush when disagreement hits? To safety or to scarcity? When did you last breathe in and trust that life wants to meet you? Let that breathe. You already feel it. This isn't about motivation. It's about seeing money as a mirror, not something to be conquered, but a field to walk through, quietly, daily. Hearing what your body says in the silence between every dollar earned and every decision made. You know this space. You've caught yourself clutching, bracing, forgetting that prosperity isn't something you chase, but something you allow. There's something here. Stay with it. There's a kind of myth we breathe in from every direction, that wealth has to be earned through the exhaustion of always doing. You see it in the faces of men hurrying on Monday mornings, gripping coffee like armor, scrolling emails before the sun's up. It's in the way the culture sells you hustle as virtue. The louder you move, the better. Rest is a luxury, not a right. That's the frequency of modern life. Restless, stiff, tense. But flip the coin and you'll find another story. The one where prosperity is painted with brushes of pure intention. Retreat flyers, spiritual Instagram posts promising abundance if you just believe hard enough. As if breath alone shapes a vault to hold what you want. And you nod, maybe even try it, whispering affirmations, burning incense, calling wealth home. But money needs a place to land, not just a wish for it to arrive. Neither extreme truly works. The relentless worker ends up tired, measuring life in worn calendars and empty weekends. The hopeful dreamer, empty spreadsheet, waiting for a miracle to move zeros in the account. Money feels this tension, like a cup too full or too empty. Try holding sand in a fist. Squeeze too tight, you lose it. Keep your hand open, it slips through. That's how most of us treat money, clenched or careless. Think about what you learned growing up. Did your parents talk about budgets with anxiety in the air? Did you ever hear money doesn't grow on trees? Or see someone buy a lottery ticket praying for escape? That nervous laughter, that's the culture's fingerprint. We're trained to see money as something to chase or something to summon, not as something to build relationship with, quiet, consistent, disciplined. This isn't about being right. Chasing and wishing are both escapes. Neither are grounding. In martial arts, power comes from rooted stance, not empty bravado, not limp surrender. In architecture, a building stands when form meets foundation. Money works the same way. It wants a strong frame and gentle hands, steady breath, simple systems, clear boundaries. Just like a garden needs both rain and fences, your abundance needs care and container. Let that echo. You already know this. Most mornings, we move straight into the day, like soldiers answering a silent alarm. Eyes open, hand on the phone, thumb scrolling through messages, bank accounts, what you need to fix or chase. The mind's already sprinting before your body even leaves the bed. But consider, what if wealth wasn't something you had to chase? What if it came to the door, quietly, while you were still and present enough to see it? What if what you call prosperity begins with the invisible, not the visible? Here's the frame. Before the world can reach you, before you download anyone else's urgent pause, give yourself 5 minutes. Find a chair by the window, maybe on the edge of your bed. Unclench your hands. Let them rest, palm up, like you're waiting to receive instead of defend. Close your eyes. Breathe in, slow, deep, through your nose. Hold for a moment at the top, then breathe out even slower through your mouth. Try this 3 times. Let the mind follow the breath, not the headlines. Each inhale, I am open. Each exhale, enough already lives here. Again, I am open. Long out breath. Now, in the quiet, bring one thing to mind that feels like pure wealth, something untouched by numbers. The heat under your blanket. The way sunlight comes in for free every morning. Maybe the softness of a dog sleeping near your feet, or just the way your own breath returns without being asked. Let that sink in. Let gratitude enter the body, not as a command, but like warmth filling a room. Once you've tasted that, imagine something unusual. Money knocking lightly at your door, not demanding, not desperate, just a guest. You walk to the door, open it. Instead of suspicion, you say, "You're welcome here." You don't chase, you allow. That's what changes things. The more you rehearse this quiet permission, the more you live from it. The body learns there's nothing to defend against. For some, after a week of these 5-minute resets, unexpected opportunities surface, like an artist spotting an invitation they once dismissed, or a coach hearing yes where there was always pushback. Even small surprises, a refund appearing where you forgot you overpaid. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. 5 minutes of presence alters the whole day's gravity. That's the discipline. It's not about motivation. It's about the quiet art of openings. the subtle difference between starting your day as a fortress or as an open field. Let that land. What would happen if, just once a week, you sat with your money like it was an honest friend, not to judge, not to fix, just to see clearly what's true? What if tracking your cash flow could be as grounding as breathing, not just another chore in a busy week? And what if wealth wasn't a game of chance, but a practice of attention? People talk about abundance like it's something you summon, but the quiet reality is, money flows like water, but only when you know where the stream is. If you never pause to notice, it seeps out in places you don't expect. That's a hard truth for anyone who ever opened a bank statement and felt their chest tighten. Most people wait for their finances to feel dramatically they're winning or surviving. But the discipline is in showing up gently before there's a problem. Each week, pick a time, light a candle, play something soft in the background, pour some tea if you want. You're not fighting a dragon, you're opening a window. Sign in, look at what came in, what went out, just write it down, no panic, no hiding. The act itself rewires your nervous system. The numbers are just numbers, but clarity on repeat becomes trust. I've known people who avoided their statements like they were haunted. One of them, a woman who runs her own household, couldn't remember the last time she looked at a balance. The first few weekly inventories felt unnatural. But then she saw subscriptions she'd forgotten, groceries she'd overpaid, and a buffer of savings she hadn't noticed. A dozen small leaks sealed by one steady practice. Let that land. Business owners do the same. The ones who flourish treat cash flow as a weekly ritual, not a crisis response. It's not about control, it's about connection. Like a gardener who walks their grounds, noticing, watering, tending, because the plants respond to being seen. Wealth does, too. The weekly money inventory is simple structure. It is formed the way a musician tunes each string, one by one. Maybe this is what stewardship looks like. Not heroic, just honest. You already know this. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. That's the discipline. What happens when you finally put a real price on your gift? Not just any number, but the one that asks for respect on both sides of the table. What changes when you decide your work is no longer up for quiet discounts, but is seen as a vessel holding both your time and your soul? What if the number you're afraid to say is the number that unlocks balance, not just in your wallet, but in your spirit? Feels like a confrontation, doesn't it? A steady hand on your own chest, a moment longer in the silence than is comfortable. But here's what never changed, even when everything else did. Value honors value. Pricing is never just about money. It's about alignment. It's about integrity. Every time you set a price, you're drawing a boundary between scarcity and sufficiency. You're telling the world and yourself, this is what it takes to hold my focus, to make my intention fully visible. That's the discipline. Most of us have been taught that humility means shrinking, not shining. That the only way to be generous is to ask for less. But generosity, without structure, leaks energy. It doesn't nourish you, and it doesn't nourish the one you serve. The lower number that pops up first, that's old fear, whispering, stay small, don't risk it. It lets you stay invisible, unchallenged, but also unfelt. The higher number, when it arrives without drama, just calm certainty, that's where presence lives. That's where respect begins. Let's sit with that. This isn't about greed. Charging more isn't about extracting as much as you can. It's about creating a clean container, a structure strong enough to support real transformation for you and for the person across from you. When a healer finally raises her price, her clients feel safer, more invested. Suddenly, the exchange feels right, not heavy or ambiguous. When an artist asks what the work is truly worth, suddenly it attracts attention that matches its soul. I know because I've lived it. People thank you for naming a price with integrity, not because it's easy, but because it makes respect simple. Money is energy. It wants to find its proper place. When your pricing comes from fear, energy drains. When it comes from alignment, both giver and receiver feel held. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. And you already know this. Honoring your own value is honoring the whole exchange. That's the discipline. So let's gather these threads, quietly, like a man sweeping the room before he rests. Wealth, as we've lived it here, is not a medal to chase or a fantasy to escape into. It's not the hustle, not the noise, not a lottery for the restless. It's a rhythmless, slow, steady pulse beneath the surface of your day. Every morning, before the world pulls at you, you sit for 5 breaths or 5 minutes resetting, letting your chest unclench, noticing what's already here. That's the discipline. Each week, you turn gently toward your money. No shame, no hiding. You take inventory, almost like checking the tools in your bag. You honor what arrived, what's leaving, what's waiting, not to control, just to witness. And when you set your prices, you let integrity meet value. No undercutting yourself, no overreaching. You decide what is true for me, what feels honest, what feels clean. That's the quiet power of sacred pricing. When you hold these habits, money stops being a shadow on the wall. It becomes a current energy passing through hands, not judgment, not pride, just life, supporting life. Let that land. You're allowed to breathe easier in this. You're allowed to receive what matches your openness. You're allowed to find balance, not perfection. You already know this, somewhere beneath the noise. This isn't about motivation. Tonight, before sleep, one question: what would shift if you showed your money, your work, and your worth the same honest attention you give to your breath? And here are your vows. I honor what's here. I honor what's here. I reset before I react. I reset before I react. I meet money with calm. I meet money with calm. My worth is not up for sale. My worth is not up for sale. I build quietly, brick by brick. I build quietly, brick by brick. I let value and honesty align. I let value and honesty align. I let go of the chase. I let go of the chase. Wealth is my nature. Wealth is my nature. I lead from clarity. I lead from clarity. I lead from clarity.